Not a good example of multitasking. All right? So you have to ask yourself, what is real, feasible multitasking, and what is just context switching? Writing some important code at work and texting your friends is not feasible because you're context switching. You're switching a section of your mind, and we all know, if you study threading theory, that there is an amount of time, a measurable amount of time that it takes you to get your brain back in the game. You can't go to lunch and then get right back into the code. It takes 10, 15 minutes. All right, what was I doing? A couple of days, a couple of weeks later, that code just out of the brain. These are some of the things that I was able to identify as real multitasking. You can walk and chew gum. And that's probably possible. Work out and listen to podcasts. This is possible, right? This is a great time to do two really productive things at the same time. You know, walk to work, be on the train, drive, and maybe call into the system and do email by voice, but not texting. Commuting on the train and reading books, staying up on things while standing in line, waiting. These are reasonable multitasking. But the kinds of multitasking that we think are making us more productive are slowing down. You can do things much faster than focus on one thing. How many people have a stack of books like this that they're ready, like, I'm reading these totally, this is the time I'm going to read these books. Yeah. And these are the ones you're really going to actually read. Except that that's okay. Except that that's okay. Identify that this is never going to happen and set reasonable goals. Because the only thing that this staff will do is make you feel bad about yourself. Psychic weight. It's worse to feel bad about yourself and have the sense of weight than it is to not be present.
Like the episode.
Huh?
Like the episode.
It's like the episodes on the TV. One day Lost will come out on DVD and then you'll watch it. Right? When I'm old and I live in an old folks home and it's like 2060, and I'll finally watch the 4th season of Lost. And I will go, what is that? And I'll be lost and I'll watch Lost. You cannot simultaneously be current and an authority on these technologies, pop culture, who's wearing what, and who got an Oscar, and what the new diet trend is. So sometimes people have too many subscriptions in their RSS reader, and then the RSS reader becomes like email. It's a chore, and it makes you feel bad about yourself. So what I have done, because I like these things, I like fashion and pop culture. I want to know what the, Brangelina. Is that what they call it? Brangelina, yeah. And those guys. I want to know what Brangelina is doing right now. So I let someone else do the work for me. I outsource it. But I don't outsource it to real people. I find the person or the website or the blog who is doing that, and I read just them. So rather than reading 10 different blogs on fashion, I find a blog on fashion and I read that. This is in New York, when it gets really, really hot, we open up the fire hydrant, and then this is called, we say sometimes, there's a phrase in English, drinking from the fire hose. You ever heard this term? If someone just got a job, and they're really in that part of the job where they're learning, and there's so much information coming at them, and you say, how are you doing at your new job? I'm drinking from the fire hose. He just wants a sip, but he's getting it in the face. Go through your news feeds, and if something important happens, you will hear about it. So for any particular thing that you want to learn, you want to learn about threading, you want to learn about electronics, or you want to learn about shoes, there are those things that you need to know. You need to know because of particular subject. Some things that you should know, and some things that are nice to know. You need to decide these things. And then there are edge cases. Sometimes people focus when they're learning new things on learning all of the edge cases. You cannot learn all the edge cases unless you are an expert. So find those people. So these are some of the sites. Like I read Engadget. And this is a site that aggregates lots of gadget information. That way I don't have to read all these other sites. BoingBoing.net is a really great blog of blogs. It's an aggregator of blogs. Lifehacker. Lifehacker.com has tips and productivity tips in your life. Engadget, Boing Boing, and Lifehacker. So these people have a staff of people looking for really cool things to make my life better. So why would I go and try to find those things myself? These people, it's their job. There's like 10 people. I can't compete. So I'll let them do it for me. So tools. Talking about specific tools that I use, that you can use to potentially implement these different methods. So first we have to find the right tool for the job. All right? We don't want to hammer in a screw. It doesn't usually work out. And usually the screw loses. I also say this thing about you can't cut if you don't measure. You have to think about what your needs are and then make a decision about that tool. So a couple of things that I use. One is called Rescue Time, rescuetime.com. This is a really interesting tool. This actually runs in the background and looks at the websites and the tools that you use and then sends the information up to a server and creates a report that will tell you what you did. And this is sometimes kind of humiliating because you don't think you read the news or the gossip pages or the Twitter very much, but then you go and find out. Here I was looking at this and I can see I was running Internet Explorer and I was reading The Guardian in the UK, for like an hour or 2 hours here in the middle of this afternoon. It can create charts and tell you this stuff. Rescue Time. And it'll actually tell you, are you doing very distracting things? And when are you doing them? Or very productive things. So you can go and say, well, Visual Studio is very productive, and running Outlook is very productive, and it'll tell you what time you spent by average and by day. This day here was a Monday. I was sick. I had the flu this day. That's why I wasn't doing anything. Another thing that I use is a technique called 43 folders. You can search the web for 43 folders. And what 43 folders is it's literally 43 manila folders. One for each month, 12, and 31 days. So that's 43 total. So if you get something physical, like a ticket, like when I was coming here, we had planned this months ago, and they sent me the e-ticket, and I put it in my email, but I also wanted to put it somewhere specific. I wanted to put it somewhere physical. So I have 43 folders at home, 12 for the days of the month. So this one says February. Okay? And in this one is a screenshot of my Outlook with speeches that I have to give. I'm giving this speech right here, right now. It's got my tickets, it's got my flight details, and it's got the Cairo Code Camp information. Here's the trick. 43 folders. I put this information in this folder in early January, maybe December even. And then it's out of my mind. There's no psychic waste. You clapping, silent clap, all claps, everything. So you get the thing, inbox, it's in my hand. Okay, I find the folder called February and I put it in there. I don't think about it until February. The trick is, though, you can have things that are maybe just a few days in the future. So today is the 28th, is that right? Yeah. So 28th of February, I would have a folder that says 28, and then the next folder would say March. And then 1, 2, 3, all the way through March, and then April. So all I'm doing is I'm just moving these folders through this process. When the day passes, I put the day at the end. And I move the folders through. So I can plan up to a year in advance. I can put tickets and information. If I need to go and buy a suit for a wedding, I can take the wedding invitation. I can stick it in October. I don't even think about it until October when I have to do that particular thing. It's called 43 folders. It's a really great technique for managing physical information. Now, this one's a little bit obscure. You guys need to tell me if we got this right. Syncing to paper. Sometimes things become so overwhelming that you can't look at an iPhone or a BlackBerry and get the big picture. You may think you can, but you just can't see your life in this tiny screen. So you sync to paper. You don't sync to Google or sync to the cloud or sync to Outlook. You just say, all right, let's stop screwing around. Let me get some paper and back up. Even sometimes you lay it out on the ground. And you can create a PDA. You can create like a personal digital assistant, except it's just pieces of paper. And you'd be surprising how comforting it is to take a bit of information and to just simply write it